You ever find yourself just wondering what the point of it all is? It feels like such a modern question, right? But believe it or not, you're in good company. Thousands of years ago, an ancient book of wisdom called Ecclesiastes tackled that exact question head on. So let's dive into this incredible search for meaning. I think you're going to be shocked at how much it sounds like it could have been written today. So who's our guide on this quest? Well, he's this mysterious figure who just calls himself the preacher. And you gotta get this picture out of your head of some stuffy academic. Nope, this guy paints himself as someone standing way up high, looking out over all of human history, watching everything unfold. And from that vantage point, he asks the big one, the question that really drives this whole book. What's the real point of our lives here under the sun? That's the question that kicks off his whole investigation. And lucky for us, we get a front row seat. Yeah, he doesn't exactly warm up the crowd. Right out of the gate, he drops this absolute bombshell. It's a line that has confused and, frankly, kind of disturbed people for centuries. It sounds so dark, right? Almost nihilistic. But what is he really saying here? So, to really get it, we need a quick language lesson. The original Hebrew word he uses is hevel. Now, our English Bibles translate this as vanity, but that's super misleading. Hevel doesn't mean worthless or conceited. It literally means smoke or vapor, or that mist you see on a cold morning. Think about it. You can see it, it's definitely real, but you can't grab it. The second you try to hold onto it, poof, it's gone. That's Hevel. Life is like smoke. So where did he get this idea? Well, he just looked around, and what he saw was a little too real. He saw people working their entire lives, grinding day in and day out, only to die and leave it all to someone else. He saw that the wise person and the foolish person end up in the exact same place, the grave. He even looked at nature and saw these endless, frustrating cycles, like rivers pouring into the ocean, but the ocean never gets full. It all felt like, well, like chasing the wind. And all this observation led him to ask this really sharp question. After all that work, all the sweat and toil, what do you actually get out of it? What's the real lasting gain? To put it in our language, what's the ROI on a human life? That's the mystery he's trying to crack. The preacher isn't just some cynic complaining from the sidelines. No, he decides to become a human guinea pig. He's going to test every single path to happiness he can think of, basically trying to prove himself wrong. First up, wisdom. He goes all in. He says he became the wisest person like ever. He just devoted himself to learning, trying to figure out how everything works. And the results? Well, it's a total paradox. He finds that the more he learned, the more he saw how broken and messed up the world is. So more knowledge didn't bring him joy. It just brought him more grief. So wisdom, that's a bust. Dead end. All right, so if wisdom's a no-go, what about everything else? He does a complete 180. He basically says, okay, let's try pleasure. And I mean, he goes for it. He builds massive projects, gets ridiculously rich, throws huge parties. If he wanted it, he got it. This was the all-out pursuit of fun, wealth, and success. And what happens? You guessed it, it's the same result. After getting literally everything our world says should make a person happy, he stands back, looks at it all, and just feels empty. The fun didn't last. The accomplishments felt hollow. It was all just more hevel, more smoke, more chasing the wind. Because his experiments kept slamming him into the same brick wall, there are just some things you cannot control. And this is a great way to see the main conflict he found. Look, on one side, you've got everything we try to control. Our success, our money, our future plans. Sound familiar? But on the other side, you've got what we can't control. Things like random bad luck, injustice, what happens to our stuff after we're gone, and the big one, the fact that we're all going to die. This led him to this beautiful and kind of humbling realization about time itself. We love to think we're in charge of our schedules, our 5-year plans, right? But he realized, no, we're not the conductors of this orchestra. We're just players in it. There's a rhythm to life, a time for everything, and we don't get to choose the tempo. And that brings him face to face with the biggest uncontrollable of all. Because death doesn't care. It's the one thing that truly levels the playing field. It doesn't matter if you're wise or foolish, rich or poor, a good person or a wicked one. All those labels we spend our lives building up or running from, death erases them all. He doesn't sugarcoat it, he just says it flat out. The same fate, the same final event happens to every single one of us. And you can see now why he calls life hevel, right? If it all just ends and gets wiped away, what was the point of any of it? This is the question the whole book has been driving at. If life is smoke and we can't control the big stuff, then what are we supposed to do? How on earth are we supposed to live?
After wrestling with this huge existential crisis, the teacher lands on an answer that is as powerful as it is simple.
And here it is. He says, the secret isn't in some grand abstract purpose. It's in the small, tangible gifts of everyday life. Enjoying a good meal, having a drink with friends, finding some satisfaction in the work you do today. He realizes these aren't just distractions. They are direct gifts from God.
And this is just so radical, isn't it? Our world tells us, find your purpose, control your destiny, leave a huge legacy. But the teacher says, stop. Accept that life is fleeting, and instead learn to embrace the simple goodness of the present moment.
And he's quick to add, it's not just about food and work. He points out that in this smoky, shovel world, one of the most solid things we have is each other, our relationships, our friendships. Cherishing those people is a huge part of enjoying the gift of today.
But let's be honest. How do you keep this mindset? How do you find joy in the little things when you know life is unpredictable and sometimes really hard? The teacher offers one final piece of the puzzle, the foundation that makes it all possible.
The logic is actually very simple. If everything in our limited reality under the sun is temporary, then to find any real, stable meaning, you have to find a reference point that exists outside of that system. You need an anchor that's beyond the sun.
And this is his ultimate takeaway. It's not some last-minute religious slogan he tacks on. It's the logical end of his entire search. He concludes that fearing God, living with reverence and trust in a creator, is what gives our small, fleeting lives a sense of eternal significance and allows us to find joy within our limits.
And that leaves us with a pretty challenging question, doesn't it? We spend so much of our lives trying to achieve more, build more, control more. But what if this ancient teacher was right all along? What if true, lasting meaning isn't found in chasing the wind, but in learning how to gratefully enjoy the simple, beautiful gifts of today?